Hello and welcome to All Stats Aren't We, a podcast in which Leeds fans cast their combined eye over goings on at Ellen Road, giving scrutiny to the underlying statistics and tactical footings at work at Leeds United. I'm Adam Elliott, and I'm joined today, as ever, by a grumpy Martin Riley. Martin, how you doing?
As you say, I'm a bit grumpy. I've had a long old day and work was a bit rough today. I've not had a whole lot of sleep, so I'm tired and grumpy, and I've not eaten yet. So I've literally got through the door 5-10 minutes ago, and then come on here with you. But I'm looking forward to de-stressing and talking about Fulham with you. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not so grumpy. I managed to eat before, which you didn't manage to do because you've only just been in your house. I will surprise no one with the information that I've had some sort of pasta with broccoli and garlic bread. But it'll do, and we're here earlier, as we say, even though it's still dark. The days are getting longer. There is hope, guys. We are not far away from things being great again. But yeah, I'm otherwise well. I've had a better day than you at work. My last piece was, funnily enough, about Fulham, about the fact that Ebereeze was in their academy and they released him. They weren't the only club to do so. Quite a few did before QPR took their chance on him and did very well from that. So that probably isn't live. If anyone's listening, it probably won't be for a couple of days, but it was a good one to write nonetheless. Anyway, don't think there's anything else to really say apart from, like, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review on anything you listen to. We've been pushing that this season because it's going to really help us grow, and so far it's been doing us good, so keep doing so. If you don't listen on YouTube or watch us, just subscribe, please. It will do us the world of good. And extra content we've got on there at the moment, Martin, because you recorded some stuff last night, not on YouTube, sorry, but on our Patreon, because you recorded stuff last night with a certain Mr. William Clay, didn't you? I haven't listened to it yet, but can you describe to our listeners what that was exactly?
Yeah, it was basically a breakdown on Harry Gray. Me and Will watched a bunch of games of the young member of the Gray family, and just to kind of inform people as to what his kind of level is at. There's been obviously a lot of discussion about Gray, and obviously it's come out that he's gone out on loan to Rotherham today, so it was nice timing when that announcement came out a few hours before me and Will.
Freaky timing, Martin.
Yeah, really freaky timing. So yeah, it was a nice discussion point whether that was a good move as well. So there's a lot of stuff to dig into in there. It's only for patrons and the Pablo tier members. So you guys think you should tease into that. Anyone who wants to listen to it will need to sign up, and that's the only way you can watch it. So yeah, listen to it even.
Patreon.com/ASAW Patreon. That's where you can find that. And like Martin says, bit of an overview. He's not trying to bring down one of the greys of the dynasty in Leeds' history, but we just wanted to give a bit of an overview of how he's doing, where he's at, and why maybe this loan might work or might not work. And that's what the guys have done, I think. But hopefully it is good. I will listen to it myself at some point in the next few days. Yeah, as you say, freaky timing. Going to Rotherham when we had this planned for literally about 3 weeks. It was been talked about around Christmas and then finally done now. So that was really, really odd, but relevant nonetheless. News then, just before we get into stuff, Martin, the main piece of news is we didn't do a preview and review, and we won't be doing so. So this is your only chance to talk about the FA Cup win against Derby County, where we won 3-1 at Pride Park. I think that's our 5th or 4th win in a row there. Which is great. And turnaround from a 1-0 deficit to a really commanding second half, I thought.
Yeah, it was a good performance in the second half. The first half was, underwhelming to put it to say the least. The pretty poor penalty from Joel Peru, which is a bit surprising. I've seen some people saying why it was Peru taking it. Well, because he's got a good shot and he's probably our best penalty taker on a normal day. But it's Leeds, and those sort of things go out the window, especially when we're playing a club like Derby in the Cup. So yeah, that happened. But then the second half sort of calmed that all down a bit, and we did much, much better in the second half. So yeah, it's great to be through to the next round, but that is the limit of my analysis on it, because I am not rewatching that game for sure.
Neither am I. It was good to see some fringe players do well. Peru, confusing performance considering he had 7 shots, which is good. But then the penalty miss was really not expected. I will say that if he was on the pitch with Calvert-Lewin or Metch or whoever, at any time, I would still probably want him to take it, to be brutally honest. I do think it's one of his fortes. It's one of the things that I'd back him over more often than I wouldn't. So I wasn't against him taking that. But the second half, people like Tanaka and Nonto, they really, really, really came to the fore. They showed Farke why, even though it was against championship opposition, they have a part to play this season still, and they're both good enough. I mean, Tanaka's already shown that in spades at times this season already, just in little moments. So I don't think he's as relevant here, but they were both very, very good. And yeah, it's good to rotate and win still. You sometimes play a rotated team against a championship team in these kind of circumstances, and suddenly they're all a little bit undercooked because they've not played a lot of minutes, and it just goes wrong, and teams often lose. It's not that much of a surprise when it happens. But we didn't. We actually got the job done, and we've actually set ourselves up for another championship team away from home, Birmingham City. Personally, I think it's quite a dull draw. I know we didn't play them in the season we went up because they were too busy getting 112, 115 points, whatever it was in League One. But I feel like we played Birmingham a lot, including that 5-4 not that long ago. And also just I wanted maybe a home game because we played, I think this would be our 30th of 37 games in the FA Cup away, which is mad. So I was really hoping for a home draw against maybe someone not quite as decent as Birmingham. So I'm not too pleased about that. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, it's a bit of a meh fixture. There could have been better ones to get, but I would just rather not lose that one because they're not filming a documentary at the moment, and that would be pretty prime time for that sort of thing for them to get a win against a bigger club higher club in a higher division than them. So yeah, that would definitely do good for the documentary, but it would be a bit embarrassing. So let's just win that one, please, and not mess around.
If I remember rightly, they had the documentary last year as well, and I watched it, and the two biggest moments in it were promotion, obviously, and then the other one was losing 3-2 to Newcastle, and Newcastle had to battle for that. I don't want that kind of game, but that's what had to happen last season. It's probably going to be very similar this time around. So yeah, I'm pretty frustrated at that. I think it's a harder game than Derby as well, probably. One thing that won't be happening in that game, probably, not definitely, is Jack Harrison probably won't be playing at a left back or left wing back because it looks like he's off to Fiorentina. We won't discuss this until he's actually gone. So when he is, we'll do this as a news piece on its own. But just to note that, because he did play against Derby and was pretty poor, to be brutally honest, although out of position, but still. But everything otherwise, Martin, is back to normal, and we're back to the routine now of regular pods. Hopefully not too regular, although I do think there is another midweek round of fixtures coming up when we play Chelsea in not too long. But for now, back to normal. No FA Cup to think about for at least a month. And we can talk about Fulham, can't we? So let's do so. And in doing so, you spoke to Kish from Fulham Focus and their podcast that they've got, which is great. He's also the College Tactico on Twitter, or X, and you spoke to him and it was great, and you're going to hear it now, guys. So listen in. Yeah, that was brilliant, as it was last time, Martin. I have to say, I particularly enjoyed his use of traumatized and having a good time in the same sentence when he was talking about Raul Jimenez and the MLS and what he should be doing, which was just a great line. If you haven't picked up on that first time, go listen to it again. It does come across not great from Kish, but I know he didn't mean it like that. It's just really funny. But yeah, I thought the most interesting part probably was Fulham's evolution this season. I think some of it mirrors us a little bit as well in trying to be, he used the word pragmatic, and he means that in the sense that they're not just a one-style team now. They are kind of multifaceted. They can win in different ways. They have different ways of building up or going longer. And yeah, I thought it was a really good discussion between you two.
Yeah, as ever, I really enjoy speaking to Kish. He's the perfect style of guest for our pod. Understand what this pod's all about and gets us the information that we need to make a good decision about what's going to happen in the game. So yeah, he's the sort of guest who we really value, and we really appreciate him coming on. So thank you again for coming on, Kish. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff which Kish raised there about the tactical variations that they've seen this season and the shift of trying to go to a more possession based system from like the more counter-attacky stuff that I think Fulham are more generally known for. But yeah, it's very interesting as well, especially with the change of shape as well to a back three, which mirrors ours a little bit, although it's got the stats wise, they couldn't look more different, at least. Well, we'll get into that later in the stats, but I've just, while you've been talking, I've been looking through some of the stats, and there's some quite interesting ones there. So I'm looking forward to digging into them a bit more.
Yeah. Not really much else to discuss here, so we're going to move on. They haven't been busy at all like us in January. They've not really done anything yet. If anything, they've just lost loads of players to injury, as he mentions, and we've not, which has been good because we've got players coming back, it seems. And that's it. There's really anything else to say. The big three are the three that are out injured, not injured, that are out AFCON, and they will be playing in either the final or the semi-final. In fact, people listening will know because that game's been played. Not the final or semi-final, sorry. They'll either be playing in the final or the third place game on the weekend, which is great for us because it means that you don't have Chukwueze, Iwobi, and Bassi, and there's a pretty good chance Nigeria might win the whole thing, given how they've played, and I have seen some of their games. I probably jinxed that now, and they've lost. They're playing in about an hour, no, about 15 minutes from one now. So yeah, they're probably lost now. I've touched a kiss of death. But that's good, I think, and probably quite relevant in this discussion on this podcast because we don't have the same issues, and I'm pretty happy. I don't like to wish injuries on anyone or players being absent, but I'd rather play Fulham at this time. And to me, Martin, it does feel like we're playing them at an opportune moment. Having said that, looking at their form, which you didn't go into with Kish, but it has actually been pretty good for a while now because it's, let me work that out, 8 games, 1 defeat, and it was in the cup against Newcastle in the quarterfinals, in the league, and the 1 FA Cup game against Middlesbrough. Unbeaten with 2 draws and 5 wins, which is pretty good going into this one, isn't it? And I know we're in similar form, but
yeah, they've picked up some good wins in this as well, especially the most recent win against Chelsea, which Keish mentioned there, and then a draw against Liverpool as well. Both those were home fixtures, but still, to go unbeaten with those 2 games in your calendar is good going. I think they're currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games unbeaten at the moment. The last league loss was against Crystal Palace, and in that time they beat Burnley 3-2, Forest 1-0. Thank you for that one. 1-0 West Ham. Thank you again for that one.
I think that's 3 in a row, right?
Yeah,
like they've just gone and played 3 teams below them and just beat them. That's how you survive.
Yeah, and that's also how we survive too.
Yeah,
so they're doing us good there. And then obviously 2-2 Liverpool, 2-1 Chelsea, and yeah, so both clubs are in form. They're without some players, but it doesn't seem to have affected them massively.
No,
I find it quite funny that Tom Kearney is playing a starting role in Big 2026. That's crazy. That just shows the players who have got out, and I know he's played well for them by all accounts. But yeah, it's impressive that he's still able to perform at the Premier League level at the age that he's at.
35, I think he is. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
with a move to Ipswich in the Championship, but I don't think he's going. He's a bit of a legend there at Fulham, isn't he? Because he's been there for about 10, 11 years.
Yeah, I've got a mate who's a Fulham fan. Yes, they do exist in this area of the world, which is bizarre.
I've never met one up north. Never.
No, he's the only one that I know. He's my best mate. So I've been friends with him for a long time. I don't think he'd listen, but Rog, if you're listening, hi mate, enjoy the game on Saturday. He's going on Saturday, and I'm working unfortunately, so I wasn't able to go. But yeah, so he's a pretty big fan of Kearney, and he's obviously enjoys the goals that he's scored against us in the past. So yeah, it's fun that he's playing for them. I'm sure that their fans are happy that he's doing well for them, even at the age that he's at now. But yeah, it's definitely a slightly weaker side, but it doesn't seem to be really affecting them considering the run that they've put up.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that actually. I think that's a real big sign of, John would say this for sure, like good coaching. Because if you can, he was talking about players coming in for other key players. And it says to me that Silva has the right approach for the most part. It says to me that their shape, their coaching, it means it's like coherent. It means that players are getting it, and it means that you can just swap a piece in and out, and it works. So no matter what the profile is, or no matter the weaknesses of the player that comes in for the kind of stronger player, it still looks decent. That is a real good sign to me of a good coach. So I think tip your hat to Silva for that. I mean, he gets a lot of credit, doesn't he? Because he has done a really good job with this side, not just getting them promoted, but stabilising them so well. The squad looks like it gets slightly better and slightly younger most years as well. So I'm pretty impressed with how Fulham have operated of late. I think they were a team that I was kind of tipping to be down towards the bottom. I think they're in mid-table at the moment after this recent run. The one thing I will say about that run that maybe I need to know, and Kish didn't either, is that they would have lost to Liverpool were it not for a 96th minute goal of the season from Harrison Reed. That was 2-1 going into that, and they maybe were a bit fortunate that he scored a chance that I think was about 0.02 expected goals. Absolutely whacked it into the top corner. It was unsavable. So fair play to him, but that it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, this is the point. They're in a good place considering the amount of issues they've got. And just to go over Kish's lineup again: Leno, Castagna, Anderson, Cuenca, Robinson, Berger, Lukic, Wilson, Emil Smith-Rowe, Kevin and Jimenez. I still think that looks pretty decent, even if the bench is probably going to be quite thin because of the injuries and the players at AFCON. So yeah, Fulham in a really good spot. Can you explain to me why they're in a good spot in terms of the stats? How are they looking, Martin?
So they've got some stats here which are of interest. So first of all, the XG, they're 11th in the league for the XG, 24.26 XG created, and they've scored 30 goals from that. So they are running an overperformance on that, and like you say, especially with that one from Harrison Reed.
Harry Wilson's goal catalogue as well this season is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he's something of a massive purple patch at the moment. Is Wilson, and I could do see in the game against Chelsea they overperformed their XG in that one as well. Chelsea put out nearly double the XG they did, but Fulham won 2-1 in that one. So I can see where this sort of overperformance is coming from, and I probably wouldn't be too surprised by that with the players they've got who can generate these sort of chances from lower XG amounts, like players like Wilson, especially, who can do it consistently. Yeah, and it's also similar to that's exactly the way that Aston Villa are performing their XGs, with players who are able to just really hit it from distance and turn those really low XG chances into goals. And yeah, it might not be sustainable long term, but who knows? If these players have got the groove and doing it, it could well defy the stats in the short term. Long term, probably won't, but that is to see later in the season, probably, or going into next season. But yeah, they've still definitely got a strong team out there. And the rest of the stats, the non-penalty XG is 14th, 23.47, scored 26 goals from that. Set piece XG is the fourth lowest, so they're not creating a whole lot from set pieces, but I think most of it is coming from the open play stuff. So 5.64 at set piece XG they've created and 7 goals scored from that. Then going into the XG against, the ninth least XG overall. It's 29.35 XG conceded, with 30 goals conceded from that, so they're pretty much hitting their target there. Seems like Bernd Leno is still doing a good job for them in that respect. And non-penalty XG against, 11th, 26.98 XG from non-penalty, 28 goals conceded from that, so a little bit of a overperformance there from their opponents in scoring from non-penalty stuff. But then the set piece XG is 14th most, so it does seem like if you combine the weakness in the attacking set pieces and the weakness in the defending set pieces, that doesn't mean to me that they look a bit shaky from set pieces. So that could well be something that we could take advantage of. And I do think Keish did mention height could be an issue for them from those kind of moments. And then probably get into the more interesting stuff is the player style. They're the third slowest side in the league in terms of their direct speed. They have the fifth most passes per sequence and the fifth most 10 plus passing sequences as well. I wrote that in the wrong column. I don't have the percentage of passes that are played long because I didn't have time to work that one out. That's my own custom.
It's all right.
But yeah, so that shows to me that they really are taking to the possession-oriented approach that Silva is wanting to commit them to. I think that's probably the way that he's trying to break apart the low blocks that he's probably has just struggled with at times with this squad. So it's, and also obviously those long distance shots turned into goals helps when you're breaking down the low block. But yeah, they're quite interesting that they're quite high in the league for where they are in the table. So it's definitely a very clear player style that they seem to have done against most sides. And the final bit of data I want to touch on is the pressing data. They're not very aggressive when it comes to pressing, from what the stats tell me. The 16th least aggressive in the league. And yes, that. And the fewest high turnovers, 88. Go on, just do it the opposite way. Go on.
It's like there's only about 50 people listening that are going to get that. So it's just like, we'll move on.
So the high turnovers are 88, and that's the lowest in the league, and that is by a pretty long margin as well. There's no other club who are under 100 high turnovers this season. The closest club to that is 116 with Burnley. So they're really not pressing aggressively at all. Like they're barely getting any high turnovers per game. So this is really interesting how they're achieving that and still doing quite well, allowing opponents loads of time with the build-up phases. I'm guessing maybe they get a bit more aggressive around the halfway line, but the shot-ending high turnovers is 5th lowest, so a little bit of an increase there from the amount of high turnovers they've got, which does mean that they've got the 5th best percentage of high turnovers ending in a shot, with 19% of them ending in a shot. But with how low those numbers are overall, that's really not a large amount of shot-ending high turnovers. So yeah, they're definitely not needing to rely on high turnovers to generate chances. It's generally through open play. So for me, that means that if you can shut them down in open play and stifle them, he mentioned about the wide players generating a lot for them. So if you can stifle that kind of area for them, you go a long way in shutting down a lot of what Fulham can do, because they don't have too much in terms of pressing. They shouldn't cause us too many issues in our build-up. So it looks like it's most likely going to be more about stopping their players from creating in the final third, and then that. But yeah, we'll get into the Leeds related stuff soon. But yeah, quite interesting stuff.
Yeah, you've thrown a lot out there. I hope people were able to keep up with that. I was only just about, but that's all really, really good. The set piece stuff is certainly something we'll talk about in just a second, I reckon.
Sorry to interrupt, just a quick one. If you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe to help us keep the content coming. And if you want even more, you can support us over on patreon.com/ASAW Patreon. You'll get bonus podcasts, exclusive articles, and access to our Discord community, all while helping us make more of the content you love. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
So then, let's move on to the Leeds part of our analysis. Yeah, what are we expecting our lineup to look like? We'll start there first before we talk about anything else. Martin, it feels like we're in a pretty good spot here because we haven't had the press conference, as always, when we're recording this yet. It will probably be tomorrow. Yeah, it will be tomorrow. I think that there's a chance Bogle's out. There's a chance Bornau's out. And we know Dan James is out. But that is it. Unless there's been a shock injury in training. That is all we know right now. So we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah, I do think that the lineup is pretty easy to predict in this one. I think it'll obviously be Perry in goal, be Justin at right back.
Well, is it obvious? Is it obvious?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is as well. But a lot of our fans are saying, he's not been great recently. Darlow, is he not going to come back in? I don't think he will. I think he'll stick with Perry still for now.
Yep, so do I. So yeah, I think it'll be Perry in goal. Right wing back, it'll be James Justin. I think he will go with a back five again for this one, because it's been working so well for us. So it'll be a back three of Roden, Strauch, and Biel, and then left wing back will be Goodmanson, who's had a little bit of a break now, but not having to play in the cup game, which was good. Then the midfield will be Ampadu, Stack, and this is one thing. I'm not sure if Longstaff is going to come back. into this one. I'm going to lean towards no.
I'm going to lean towards no, and they're going to up his time that he comes off the bench. I know that Barker doesn't do the early subs, but I think he might just do that with Longstaff a little bit earlier and ease him in.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think Tanaka will start.
Despite him being probably the best player against Derby, but yeah,
I don't think Tanaka will start. So yeah. And then the forward line will be Calvert-Lewin, and it'll be Okafor and Aronson just behind that. So he's kind of a 8, I guess, or a 10, or however you want to interpret his role when you've got Okafor and Calvert-Lewin on there. But yeah, that's what I would expect it to be. I don't think Aronson will come out of the squad with how well he's been doing, and he shouldn't, to be fair.
And he was rested, so was Calvert-Lewin against Derby as well.
Yes.
And then you think Okafor will continue, even though he played a lot of the Derby game as well?
I think so. But there is a chance that the Maitre does start this one, I think. Yeah. But I do also think that he's not wanting to play Maitre and Calvert-Lewin together too often for risk of breaking them. And until we've got another striker, if that does happen during this window, I think I'd lean more towards him starting Okafor and then bringing Maitre off the bench. But it is possible that Maitre will start, so that's maybe the only part that I'm not 100% on, really. I'm not sure if you think any different. Any of that.
I'm in exactly the same boat with the other 10 players as well. I think you bang on with everything else. It's just that question mark's hanging there. But I agree with you. I think I'd lean towards Okafor as well. I think he'll try to keep kind of rhythm of the team, which has been, and obviously the last game was a loss in the league against Newcastle, so this would be an unchanged 11, but a different team. We're playing Fulham, we're at home. We still gave Newcastle some problems. I don't think he'll suddenly be like, I've got to change 4 of those. Nah.
There's one thing which has just come to me. Do you reckon he could start Gruev in here and have Aronson and Calvert-Lewin as a front two? That's your.
I don't know if he'll do it at home. I think he might want to go for it a bit more.
Yeah. I hope our initial assessment was right. I would prefer to have Okafor in there over Gruev, because that would be really negative.
Yeah. Right. Next question is about players that can cause them problems, but I actually want to start first with who might struggle if we can. It gives me the opportunity to talk about some of these Fulham players, because we didn't really do so in the first half of the pod. Obviously, the man on fire right now, I don't actually know exactly how many goal involvements he's got for Fulham, but he's by far got the most, is Harry Wilson. Just our luck, isn't it, that we're really close to signing him. And, he's okayed the deal, and suddenly it gets pulled, and he then goes on to have the best season of his career. I know he's got, a championship season where he got something like, I think it was about 17 or 18 assists and about 14 or 15 goals, and that was remarkable in the season Fulham got promoted. But
I've got his numbers if you want them.
Yeah, go on. Goals and assists combined.
11 he's currently on.
He's got 11 right now.
7 goals, 4 assists so far.
Which is excellent, I have to say. Is that in the cup or is that just the league?
That's just league.
Oh, wow, yeah, he might have an extra couple here or there in the cup as well. So, yeah, I think he's having the best season of his career because he's doing it at a higher level than the Championship for a team mid-table. I think it's remarkable what he's managed to do. Just in time when you've got 6 months left in your contract to hit good form. I remember Willian used to do this a lot for Chelsea and also for Fulham. So, yeah, there's a few other examples like that where players suddenly just hit a real good streak. I just think he's peak age, isn't he? He's 28. He's playing the best football of his career. He is obviously a danger man. He's obviously a threat from range. He's obviously in set pieces, and then he's been their most creative player as well. If anyone hasn't seen a lot of his goals and assists this season, one of the things that he's kind of become a bit of a it's becoming a trend for him. It's becoming a bit of a trademark thing for him. Is his outside of the foot and what he does with that. Modric has this. Quaresma had this back in the day, but Harry Wilson often takes shots with the outside of his boot. So quite often they go in. He's got 2 assists recently with the outside of his left foot. Absolutely beautiful. And he's just everything he does right now is turned into gold, and it's crazy. The other part of the team that I'm scared of, because obviously he's their best player at the moment, the most informed player, is their left side. I was looking at the 11 that Kish told us, Martin, and I said to myself, okay, so the middle of the pitch is not the most mobile. They've got quite a lot of power and physicality, but not a ton of pace. But then I looked at the left of their team and I was like, Kevin and Anthony Robinson might be the quickest left side in the Premier League right now. So they do have a lot of speed still on the flanks and probably a little bit in their forward line as well. So that's quite scary to me. I know Justin's probably a slightly better defender than Bogle, but I think he's going to have a lot of running to do in this game, especially because the positions that those two take up. He was talking, Kish, about inverting fullbacks and inverted wingers and how they've kind of flipped things a bit this season, but Robinson runs for days box to box and Kevin is pretty dynamic both ways. Like he will go on the outside or he will like to go on the inside and try and get shots away, as he did against Leeds in the reverse fixture as well. So I'm pretty terrified about their left, even if Kevin hasn't hit the heights that he hit since that game against us, just because of the sheer athleticism in it. And we've only got one player out there, so Aronson's going to have to do a bit of work if he's playing as the kind of right-sided either winger or 10 or whatever the hell he is. He's going to have to get through some work supporting. And then, whoever has to deal with Wilson just drifting into central spaces to get shots away to do whatever. They're going to have to be very, very on it when it comes to passing players over, passing them on. If Goodmanson is beaten, Strout needs to be on it and coming out to Wilson, as he was against Newcastle, to be fair, in that goal we broke down the other day. But that's the main ones that I've got in my mind. Otherwise, there are some good matchups, but I'll get into them in a second. Is there anyone else you're a bit concerned by going into this?
No, I think you covered the ones which would cause me issues as well. So no one else I would add in that sort of section. But in terms of people who we could cause problems for with our players, I think you can't look beyond Calvert-Lewin for this one, in my opinion. With Kish mentioned how sometimes height and strength can cause them problems. That I think that he's definitely going to be one of the players who can cause them issues. And in the form that he's in at the moment, I'd even go as far as saying Brendan Aronson. And I would never have thought I would have said those words not that long ago. But give him credit where it's due. And he's
threw up a bit in my mouth when you said that.
Yeah, I thought you might have done. It's fine. So those are the ones who I'd say, as well as Gary Goodmanson on the left side. I think he can cause problems for any side with his physicality. He's our own version of Anthony Robinson. A lot of similar characteristics there with the running power and ball carrying. So that side, and it will also depend on what sort of shape Fulham go with as well. If they match us up and have the same sort of shape as us, or if they have more players on the flanks kind of thing. If they have two wingers and two wing backs, that could cause us issues because sometimes our wing backs can get a bit isolated. So that is an area to keep an eye on. But I do think in terms of the players who can cause them problems, those are the main ones for me. And at the moment as well, Anton Stark is causing problems for a lot of sides. And with the lack of maybe lack of the kind of physicality that Stack has got in their midfield, they've got some there in the players who are going to be there, but since they are missing Iwobi, who does offer a lot of physicality and intensity in that middle of the pitch, I think that is something that we can take advantage of as well.
Shout out Iwobi, man. Like, he's probably been the best player at AFCON. Not got the most goals and assists, but just been Nigeria's key player. Like, getting
I'm a fan of Iwobi. He's
outstanding, to be brutally honest. And he probably is Fulham's best player, to be brutally honest as well. So it's good that he's not there. But as you say, Berger's got physicality, but not the same type as Stack. So in some ways he does, yes, in terms of height. But
I think it's more intensity that he's got rather than the physicality and height that Stack brings.
And then, other matchups that are pretty good. There's one other that I had in mind, which is maybe if we can release Okafor into that channel around. I think Castanha's a decent enough fullback, like pretty solid, but not amazing, and not as quick as Okafor. Anderson's the right-sided centre-back, nowhere near as quick as Okafor. So if there are any occasions where Fulham are caught out a little bit higher up, there's potential for him to do some damage there against backpedaling defenders, and that would be quite good.
Yes.
So that's one other thing I would say. And I think Okafor's actually, can we take a moment just to speak about him just for a second? We didn't on the last pod, and I think we should have, but here's a good time to do it. I think his role's become a bit underrated for us. I've seen a lot of people get a bit fed up of him because he's only got 2 goal involvements, and they were both they were within about 2 weeks of each other against Wolves and Spurs, and he hasn't got one since. I don't think he was just signed for output, Martin, and I think you're going to say the same. He is someone we didn't have. We had you got William Onto. He's probably your best technical winger. The basics of pass, dribble, shoot, ball striking, those kind of technical things. He's probably the most rounded in that sense. You got Dan James, who's definitely the best out of possession, definitely the quickest when he is fit, and offers that intensity on and off the ball, which is relentless and really useful in some games. You've got Jack Harrison, who's Jack Harrison. And then you've got Noah Okafor, and none of those other ones I just named are above 5'9", I want to say Harrison is, and I think the other two are smaller. Okafor's considerably bigger. He's about 6 foot, 6'1". He offers just a lot more pace and running power and ball carrying. You talked about Goodmanson being good for that on our left, but we've got two of them. We've got that joint threat where they're both able to do that. Even Stack can do it a little bit as well. He's not as quick as the other two, but like they all carry the ball pretty well in that trio on that left side. It gives us so much progression. And it's just another way to move the ball. So I do think that Okafor, fair enough, you do want your forward players to get goals and assists, and I agree. He maybe should have a bit more than he does right now. And like some of his finishing is a bit wayward, and he doesn't always think about his shot. I think he can sometimes rush it a little bit, and that's a bit of a problem. I agree. But what you're missing is what he's doing and getting us up the pitch. So I personally like him, and here is one of the games where I do think he can have some joy. Do you have anything to add on Okafor?
No, I agree with a lot of what you said. His role in the side isn't as much for the goal contribution side of things. I maybe would have expected a little bit more from him by this point in the season, but some of the shouts I've been getting for saying he's the worst player they've ever seen and stuff like that. It's just too much negativity, and people can never have the middle ground that he's done all right. Room for improvement, but he's not been terrible. That kind of thing, but he has lost a lot, and with the combination of him and Goodmanson on that left channel, it's a lot for most teams to handle, and it gets us up the pitch where we wouldn't otherwise. If he was unavailable, that left side would take a big hit, and also on the finishing, it's not even like he's massively underperforming. He's on 2.7 xG. He scored 2 goals. So it's not even like he's taking an incredible amount of shots. He's taken a few more than what he should do, but he's not doing as badly as what some people have made him out to be. It's more not what he's in the squad for. And with the goal-scoring form of Calvert-Lewin, we haven't really needed him to do all that kind of thing. The focal point is Calvert-Lewin, and he's the guy to help get the ball forward. And He'll get some more goal contributions by the end of the season, but I wouldn't have been as fussed as some people appear to be. But that's the nature of Leeds fans. Rather than judging on goals and assists. Well, most football fans, to be honest with that.
I think we all do. We don't watch the team in question. You look at a forward that's got 2 goals and you go, really? That's all he's got to show for it? 2 goal involvements, no assists. But he's also not playing his best position, even though I do think he can be somewhat effective in a front 2. He's obviously better as a kind of left-sided forward in a 3. Yes. Anyway, tactically then, Martin, do we think there were going to be any changes to this in or out of possession? Obviously against Newcastle, we discussed the fact that we were quite high press in that one, especially catching them out in that first 20 minutes when they didn't really expect it, and then they kind of figured things out a bit. Do you think we will go more that way? We've done it for a few games now. Man United was pretty high intensity from the off. Or was it the nature of the Man United and Newcastle games perhaps that dictated that somewhat? Maybe Fulham won't be quite as gung-ho as those games were.
Yeah, there is the occasion aspect which can cause the players to be more intense than what maybe they were asked to do. But I am expecting it still just to be quite aggressive. Just appear to be the way that Farke wants us to perform at the moment, is to be that bit more aggressive. It's maybe not the decision I would make. I would prefer it to be more of an aggressive mid-block, and that's where we've done our best work in terms of winning the ball and attacking quickly from there. But I do expect it to be similar to what we've seen in the past few games, especially with Fulham putting a focus on build-up and trying to play through the thirds. They may be less willing to go more direct, and I think our defenders would have the winning of any aerial duels as well if they were to try to go more direct. I know Jimenez is no slouch in the air, but I do think that the back line we've got is very competent
I
with
actually think
defending those situations.
it's a good matchup that we probably should have discussed, really. He is good in the air, but it's one striker against 3 centre-backs, and all of the other midfielders behind him, the 3 forwards just behind him, I guess, are small. They're not big. Yeah. They're not going to win aerial battles. They're not going to win those 50-50s very easily on our fullbacks and defenders.
Second balls would be easier for us to win as well, you'd
Much
imagine.
Easier.
Because of that, yeah.
So they're probably going to have to build up in that sense, because I don't think going to Jimenez direct is going to suit any of that forward line at all. I think he'll get
if Sahadi will be in that sort of area, he would probably help in winning the second balls and add to the physicality. He's not. I know he's not massively tall, but I think he's got a good leap on him for someone his height. So yeah,
he's also just a bit heavier set. Like he's a bit stockier than the others.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, agree. Anything else tactically to talk about?
No, I think it'll be interesting to see if we are able to cause some problems with our press. He has caused problems for teams. It has left us more open at times, but it has been effective in moments. So I think it can cause problems for teams. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, if they are able to manoeuvre around it and cause us problems with their possession game, or if it does interrupt them. But largely, I think we've covered everything tactical I was looking at in this one.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. The one thing that I do think is important to note is what you were talking about with the stats, and you're talking about set pieces, and they're not that good at them scoring-wise, and they're not that good at them defensively. So at both ends, they're not terrible at either, but they're just not great either. That's a lot of either's. So I do think that has to be part of our game plan. It has to be, for me, one of the big things that I have liked, and I've said this, is shooting from the edge of the box is fine. It's either going to fly in, deflect in. We've got quite a few players, Longstaff coming off the bench as well as another one, like players that can take a shot on from the edge of the box. I don't mind it. Or you make the keeper work and then you get a corner. And I do think corners against this kind of team, if they do play only a back 4, that's one less, one fewer. The centre backs as well, which means that they've actually got another player there that's not as tall. I think physically the matchup should be quite good for us when we do get free kicks and corners around their box. So I hope that we take shots just to win those. I don't mind. Or we get Okafor trying to run into channels where he can draw fouls. Might be a good game for Nonto, for example, if he's coming off the bench, because again, good player at drawing fouls and winning them in dangerous areas. He was really good against Derby at doing that. Just puts his arse in and then wins it. It's great. The ailing flop that some of them have learned. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that should be part of our game plan for this one. But Martin, ultimately, the last question is, what will this game of football look like, and where will the game be won or lost in your opinion? You've already asked Kish, but what's your thoughts?
So, in regards to what the game will look like, I think it'll be pretty even in terms of possession split. I think there will be moments where we have the ball, and there'll be times where Fulham have the ball. Fulham maybe just edge it overall. Maybe it's like a 55-45 split, but nothing too egregious. I think there's 2 areas for me where this game will be won or lost. The first one is set pieces, and the second one is wide areas. Whichever side comes out, but I think especially the wide areas, I think is probably more of the focus on this one for me. If we're able to shut down Fulham's wide players in Harry Wilson and Kevin, Anthony Robinson, these sort of guys, if we can shut them down, stop them from getting good balls into the box, then we'll do a good job of stopping their threat. And then going the other way, then we can cause them problems with our wide players. So I think a lot of the battles in this one will come down to those sort of spaces, and then if we can take advantage of any set pieces, that would be game over with that combination of those 2 things.
Yep, that's it. You got it. Nothing else to say. This has been a really good one today, a really easy one. I really do like when we get guests on that are insightful. They usually are. Nearly all of the ones we've had on over the years have been, but you occasionally get someone that's not quite as good, but Kish is brilliant. So you guys have covered everything. I hope we can win this game by being more physical than them, by having aerial dominance in most areas of the pitch over them, whether that's attack versus defence or whatever it might be. And I think that we can win a good amount of corners. I'm hoping that there's a world where this one looks like Palace, but the caveat is that I do think Fulham are probably a bit more solid at the moment. Like, they're just not giving up loads and loads of chances to the opposition. So, and Silva will probably tweak things if we are suddenly getting a lot of corners and free kicks and we're putting balls into the box and it's causing them problems, I think he probably would bring on a Diop just to help deal with that kind of thing. He'd change the shape to a 3, matches up. So we need to take advantage when we can early on, I think, and try and get ahead. That's what I would say. Nothing else to add other than what you said. So just a quick reminder then, the website for our patrons, patreon.com/ASAW Patreon for that Harry Gray stuff. There's other stuff on there as well. There'll probably be some more written stuff this month with the transfers. We'll probably do some player reports if we sign anyone, and I'm expecting us to get at least one, so I think there'll be stuff on there for that. So it's a really important time, January, to be on there. And a reminder that we donate to the Leeds Food Bank, and a part of the Patreon money goes towards that as well. And if you're able to, you can too. The website is leedsnorthandwest.foodbank.org.uk. Like, subscribe on YouTube, as always, as we say. But that's all that we have time for today. So we'll be back with a review of this Fulham game. And I can't remember who's after that, Martin. Is it Arsenal? It's something like that.
That sounds correct.
Or is it Everton? It's Everton or Arsenal?
Everton, then Arsenal.
Nice. I was close. Yeah, we're back to preview Everton as well. Hopefully we get our guest on from earlier in the season for that one as well. We'll reach out. But anyway, that's all we have time for. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much to Martin.
Thank you as well, Adam.
And thank you, dear listeners. Enjoy your weekends. I will not be attending the game. I've got a birthday party to go to not long after, so that's a shame. But yeah, hope you all have a wonderful time and a lovely new year. Is this our second home game, isn't it, of the new year? But anyway, goodbye. We'll see you soon.